How long do you think it is? How many years do you think it will be till we see a Saudi embassy in Tel Aviv?
Saudi Arabia will start to make embassy in Tel Aviv.
How long do you think it is? How many years do you think it will be till we see a Saudi embassy in Tel Aviv?
Saudi Arabia will start to make embassy in Tel Aviv.
Dunde Hussein Schatten geworfen. Konta etir çayan yıkıp koyacak. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, O Allah, bless our Sham, Syria, and our Yemen. People said, our Najd as well? The Prophet again said, O Allah, bless our Sham and Yemen. They said again, our Najd as well? On that the Prophet said, there will appear earthquakes and afflictions, and from there appears the horn of Satan. Sahih Hadith of the Prophet of Islam, peace be upon him, mentions that during the end times there will be much afflictions in today's Syria and Yemen, and the horn of Satan will emerge from Najd, which is in today's Saudi Arabia. This means evil emanating from the nation. The afflictions in Syria and Yemen today are in fulfillment of the predictions and cannot be dismissed. Najd became the center of the Wahhabi fundamentalist movement, which gave birth to Daesh. Do you sometimes question why Daesh quote Wahhabi Salafi scholars? This Wahhabi movement was led by Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and the Saudi family, and today they are showing the world their mark, the horn, the devil's horn, but many choose to ignore this. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, during it a man will wake up in the morning as a believer and become a disbeliever in the night. This is the time that the Prophet ﷺ talks about, that a person will sell his religion for a small sum of money. Dajal the Antichrist will not be able to enter Mecca and Medina.
And from the ashes of their world, we'll build a better one.
Do you not think an angel rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm?
Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order can emerge, a new era, freer from the threat of terror.
This work continues. The story goes on. And an angel still rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm.
A world where the United Nations, freed from Cold War stalemate, is poised.
The giant, there's no great beast, he's a man. And of course, the Prophet ﷺ says that Aaega, he is blind and blind.
And the Prophet, of course, is telling us what he heard from Tamim Adari, but then when he had told the companions, he was with a contingent and they were on a ship, and they were a few days stuck in the sea. The waves was tossing them here and there, until they arrived on an island. When they went there, they saw a man who was chained. His hands were tied to his neck, and his knees were in shackles, and they're telling him information about this Prophet ﷺ in Medina, and then he says it would be better if people accepted him and followed him. As for me, I am the Dajjal, and I'm waiting for my appointed time.
And of the things that Prophet ﷺ related to us was this, that he also said, the Dajjal will come, and he will come to Medina, but it will be haram for him to enter the city of Medina, and enter the streets of Medina. So he will be forced to remain outside. So what he will do is that he will camp and settle on some of the salty marshes that will be outside. So the believers will remain in the city, but the munafiqeen and the others that the Prophet ﷺ mentions, that every munafiq and every kafir will leave the city of Medina and its safety and go out, believing that they will find refuge.
we are in the final days. I believe you're going to hear more talk about the great temple being built in Israel. Do you believe that at all? I didn't ask you ahead of time, so maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly, and there's a push for that. And did you notice that one of the very first things when Trump was elected, the rabbis in Israel calling on him and Putin to use their international clout to do what? To rebuild the temple. Don't think this can't happen. I think impetus is on our side right now. I think we're moving towards a moment. And the rabbis over there, some of what the mystical rabbis are saying is very, very curious right now.
What can we find out right now?
Will we just go?
Yeah, I want to know. I know my audience.
So look, there's so many of these articles. We've been running them at Skywatch TV almost every week right now. And so I only brought a couple of them with me. This one, Trump upset victory divinely sent to begin messianic process, say Israeli rabbis, right? And this one, ancient secret of Daniel's 70 weeks predicts end of days will come this year in 5777, which started in October last month in the Jewish calendar year and will be done by September of the coming year. So, and by the way, that was Rabbi Meir Horowitz 300 years ago, working on Daniel's time and half a time, and he set a date. He set a date 300 years ago. He said, this will all happen, the Messiah will arrive, the end times will begin in the Jewish calendar year 5777. The rabbis have held that dear to them since then. What is that? That's 2016 to 2017. Messiah will arrive. Now, they're looking at Donald Trump. One of the rabbis illustrated how his name in the gematria, the numerology of his name, actually means Messiah. Now there's some weird stuff here that's going on. So think about this for a moment. In the Jewish Zohar, 700 years ago in medieval Aramaic, Orthodox Jews speculated about when will the Messiah be on the earth, right? And in the Vieira section of the Zohar, they said he will arrive on earth in the year 57, he will make himself known in the year 5773, which was 2012 to 2013. Oddly enough, Trump goes to Israel in 2012, decides not to run for U.S. president, meets with heads of states, comes out of that, you can watch the YouTube on television, and he starts talking to the Jewish people, telling them to vote for Benjamin Netanyahu and the Likud party, which they did, right? But what the Zohar said was, he will be identified. From that day and forward, there have been at least a dozen Jewish rabbis that have said, the Messiah is on earth now. He's been identified. He is soon going to make himself known. Well, some key things have to happen for the messianic figure in the Jewish mindset. For the Messiah to arrive, you can't think of him like we think of Messiah. We think of Messiah after the model of Jesus. He's the Son of God, divine birth, all of that. That's not the way the Jews look at the Messiah. They're looking for a king. They're looking for a political leader. As a matter of fact, Messiah to them means the anointed one, and it goes back to the ancient days when they would anoint a king and recognize him as this is the man that God sent. And what they're looking for is several things. First of all, they're looking for somebody in a political figure who can lead decisive battles in defense of Israel. This is why the only politician on the face of the earth that was standing up and saying, if I'm elected president, I'm going to be the biggest friend that Israel's ever had. We're going to undo the Iran deal, well, blah, 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 right? And being a friend of Benjamin Netanyahu. Secondly, they're looking for, when the Messiah comes, there will be an ingathering of Jews from around the world back into the Holy Land. That's why the rabbis, on the eve of his election, went on television and said, we need to call now Jews from around the world, come back to Jerusalem because the Messiah is here, right?
Yes.
There's another thing. Thirdly, they talk about when he arrives, he is going to reinstitute the temple service. So what was the second thing they did? They called on Trump and Putin to use their power to rebuild the temple and to reinstitute the temple service. I'm not saying that they think he is the Messiah. What I actually think is that most of the rabbis there think he's John the Baptist, and the Messiah is about to appear. He's the forerunner. He's the guy that's going to start the message in the wilderness, and the Messiah is going to come in on his heels. And so we need the temple service. We need to get back into Israel. The Messiah. Now, why are they saying that? They have identified somebody. I mean, there could be a few rabbis there that think he's the Messiah. The other third key is he has to be of the Davidic dynasty. He has to be of the Davidic bloodline, and there is an effort right now to go back through the European monarchy, cousins of President Donald Trump, to show that his bloodline goes back to the Davidic dynasty. Now, why are these efforts underway? I'm just saying there's something very strange here that's going on, and everything I'm saying can be verified. Multiple news agencies, the Jerusalem Post, Breaking Israel News, they're all talking about this right now. So they too believe that we are in the end times. They too believe that the Messiah is about to appear. We would say the second coming is about to happen, but their Messiah is going to be a false Messiah. He's going to be the Antichrist, right? So I think that the smart ones in Israel are looking at him right now. They're saying he is God's, what we would call John the Baptist. He is God's messenger. When he takes over in January, there is a 5777 countdown to the appearance of the Messiah, and something could happen overnight that could lead to the reconstruction of the temple.
In the port city of Bremerhaven on Germany's North Sea coast, approximately 4,000 American troops and 2,500 vehicles began arriving in early January. Known as the Iron Brigade, they're from the Army's 3rd Armored Brigade Combat Team of the 4th Infantry Division, based in Fort Carson, Colorado. This is the largest deployment of U.S. forces in Europe since the end of the Cold War, 25 years ago. It's part of the European Reassurance Initiative and Operation Atlantic Resolve, a $3.5 billion effort paid for by the United States to reinforce NATO.
I'm very proud that we're a member of NATO, and I'm proud of our...
At the start of the deployment, Army Major General Tim McGuire joked, by rushing to meet the deadline set by the Obama administration, his units weren't able to change their vehicle camouflage.
To get them here as scheduled in January, just do not have time to paint them green.
But the Army is anxious to deliver a serious message. To demonstrate to allies and adversaries alike, the U.S. is determined to assist NATO in defending Eastern Europe from potential aggression from Russia.
The combat power here is a tangible sign of the continuing commitment of the United States of America. It is one that enables us to work with our allies and send a message that we remain committed.
You've got tanks here.
Brigade Commander Colonel Christopher Norrie describes his unit as lethal.
We're an armor brigade combat team. So as part of that team, we have tanks, Bradleys, we have indirect fire systems, Paladins. We have a whole range of vehicles that make up our team here. You can see now you've got one ship here, one ship there, both offloading all of our equipment in preparation for onward movement.
Norrie's troops spent the past year training for this mission.
What's up? Iron Strong!
Algernon Lewis and Thomas Rodriguez are Army mechanics.
This is my first time in Europe. Pretty excited to be here. Kind of miss home, but it's also nice to be over here helping out our NATO allies.
These soldiers concede outside of their families. Few folks back home may know about their assignment.
Probably not, honestly. I don't think they do.
I don't think a lot of them know what NATO actually does.
Under NATO, the US, Canada, and 26 other nations pledged to defend each other in case of attack. In 2014, Russia annexed Crimea from Ukraine, which is not a NATO member. But that sent jitters across Europe, especially in the 5 NATO countries bordering Russian territory: Poland, Norway, and the former Soviet republics of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. After international sanctions were imposed on Russia, then President Obama pledged to beef up American military presence in Europe, which had shrunk from its Cold War level, over 300,000 troops, to 120,000 in 2000 and 65,000 in 2015. 6 days after arriving in Germany, Colonel Norrie's military convoy reached the first of those nervous states, Poland, where U.S. troops will begin the first of their 9-month rotations planned for the next 7 years. This is the first large-scale continuous presence of U.S. troops in Poland. This army video shows the symbolic moment a Polish flag was added to the lead U.S. vehicle. Colonel Norrie was officially welcomed by Polish Major General Jarosław Mika.
This is important for security, not only for Poland, for Europe, and for all the world.
Why should the U.S. care about what's happening so far away here in Poland?
Common cooperation, common training, and all these things provide more security for all countries. You have to be prepared for a war, yeah?
While Operation Atlantic Resolve might reassure leaders in Eastern Europe, it is angering Russia, which has repeatedly denounced the buildup along its borders as a provocation that demands countermeasures. We consider this a threat to us, a Kremlin spokesman said as the troops arrived. The Russian military has been conducting military exercises of its own, and last October, near the borders of Poland and Lithuania, Russia placed missiles that could be armed with nuclear warheads and reach the German capital of Berlin. Russia has called this buildup a provocation. Is this a provocation?
We are here to deter. And a part of that deterrence is putting this formation together. It's part of a really exceptionally strong team of teams. I would view it as a deterrent, and if I was looking at it through the lens of a potential aggressor, I would say it's an exceptionally capable deterrent.
Russia has even recently aligned missiles that are capable of being mounted with nuclear warheads along the border. What are you doing to prepare for that?
Yeah, so we've trained for every eventuality. I mean, the soldiers that we have in this formation, the capability by battalion here throughout the brigade, they're ready for the full range of any kind of a threat. And our commitment to our allies is very, very important. Right now, we're continuing to build combat power here in Western Poland to rapidly mass our formation and then demonstrate that we're ready to fight.
Oh, they had to start a coup, with victims, bloody events, a civil war, terrifying the population in the southeast of Ukraine and in Crimea. And all for what? In my opinion, this is being done to justify the existence of NATO. An external enemy is needed, an external threat. Otherwise, what is the purpose of NATO?
Defense missile systems, bomb-proof. Russian Terminator girl tests the next generation personal armor. The next generation protective suit she was testing was developed by Central Research Institute of Precision Machine.